the pre-show question. So Rashani, what do you think about the new era of the way that they program for TV and not pay-per-view anymore? If it's anything good, they're showing it to you on TV and not pay-per-view. A lot of people are upset about this new wave.
You know what? I have the WWE network, and I'm burnt out. I think that I think that when we were younger and we had to beg our parents to buy us pay-per-views, I think that that made us appreciate it more than getting a buffet of pay-per-views. 'Cause I'm like, oh, and plus, having it every 2 weeks, it seems like. I know it's not, but it seems like every couple of weeks they're doing another pay-per-view. It's too much for me. I I,
Yeah, it becomes
I
a six wrestling show for the week or something, or a fifth or sixth show. It doesn't feel as special unless it's like one of the big ones.
exactly. It feels like this just we're capping off this feud so then we can move on to the next feud. This is a very special episode of whatever show is it's about. So if it's a Raw pay per view, then it's a very special episode of Raw. Um, that really isn't that special because nothing really changes. Like I know TLC is coming out this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking forward to it. There's nothing that's grabbing me. I don't like the Shield that much, and I like the Miz, but eh, eh,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like
it's
back in the
rushed.
day, it used to be a good 6 months before you had a pay per view. So, well, there was SummerSlam, there was WrestleMania, there was Survivor Series, there was In Your House, and then
Oh,
there
and
was
Royal
King of the
Rumble.
Ring. So there was five.
Yeah, and
Oh,
the
Royal
Rumble.
Rumble. So there was six. But it seemed like there was space between them because you couldn't afford all of them. So you had to watch Raw, and it felt like you missed out on something by not getting a chance to see it live on pay per view because they didn't show a video of it. They just showed like little photos. This person got hit in the face, and then Stone Cold Stunner, and it's like, dang it, I missed it. Now it's like I can watch whatever I want. I feel like I'm at the point in Grand Theft Auto where you have all the money and you can do whatever you want with it, so it's not fun anymore.
It's true. Start jumping in cars and jumping in helicopters and stuff, and like, this isn't cool. This is just I'm open worlding.
Gee,
Exactly.
that,
Like for instance, my son Devin and I, we were watching. We were watching the May Young challenge and
mm-hmm.
the May Young Classic, and Jim Ross was announcing it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's Jim Ross. He's the best who ever did it." And my son was like, "Why is he the best who ever did it?" So I turned off the May Young Classic and skipped over to Hell in a Cell when it was Undertaker and Mankind, and showed him that. We never went back to May Young. It's like I got too many options. So if I am faced with the chance of seeing something that's going to be lackluster because Jinder Mahal is in it, versus going back to the old school and watch something I know I'm going to love, these new pay per views are going they gonna miss out a little bit.
Yeah,
Can
well,
I add something to that?
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just piggybacking off of what Rashani said, and really what's going on with WWE now, in my opinion, they don't treat they don't treat it as a promotion. It's treated as television. And what they don't
Mm-hmm.
understand, television is changing. You used to have that 22 to 24 episode season, but now your high quality stuff that you see on Amazon or Netflix or even HBO, they shrink the part down to maybe a 10 or 13 episode run. Well, now you got Raw. They're going every week now. Now they're going to be doing the New Year shows and the Christmas shows live. So they don't
Mm.
understand that less is more. And they're killing the product that way by just treating it
Yeah,
as a television show.
yeah,
And not
because
giving you squash matches to mix in there a couple of few times a week, so you don't, so you can see some guys actually build up and have a reason to actually look good. Secondary finishers get over. So when Sami Zayn hits a Blue Thunder bomb, you can actually count it as a near fall and not just a high spot. They could do that. Take a little bit more time to to build some stories, but that's not the way they're operating right now. They're like,
Yeah.
we can give it to them. Let's give it to them.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem they have, and they've had this for a while, is they don't see themselves as a wrestling company or even sports entertainment. They keep trying to compete with just regular entertainment, like with sports, with ESPN, or with like whatever's showing on TV. So everything for them is like either ratings driven, or it's building your cachet so that you can pretty much, so Vince can go eat and drink with other billionaires and say, hey, look, my product has beat out yours on social media. And so oversaturation doesn't seem to be a problem, nor does like diluting the quality, because they can keep going after the best wrestlers out there because they're the big game in town. But the problem is they don't see themselves as a quality wrestling company anymore. They just see them. I mean, some people at different levels do, but you look at the top and Vince and how it's corporate, they're always going to see themselves as, oh, well, we're competing against Main Street Entertainment and we're trying to basically get Susan G. Komen and all these other, they're trying to look reputable. And at the same time, it's like, it just dilutes it so much that you're looking at it and you're going, all right, just get this out of the way, get to the wrestling.
Well, I
Oh
think the
yeah.
best way to put it, is, and you know me, I'm a nerd. The best way to put it is a quote, syndrome from The Incredibles. When everybody's special, that means nobody is. And when you put all of these big name characters or these big name wrestlers on the one show, all of a sudden they lose their luster. Like AJ Styles is the man. He's excellent, but before AJ Styles got there were other people who were on the show who were also the man or could have been the man or who were at that level who got pushed down because these new folks keep coming in. So, like me personally, I like Stardust when he was there. I like Cody Rhodes. He got pushed out. He wasn't getting enough love because new people kept coming in, and it's just there's nothing to look for anymore. There's no, okay, when's Ravishing Rick Rude going to come out? Oh my God, it's an event. Stone Cold's coming out. Oh my God, there's the music. The Rock's coming out. Oh my God, there's the music. Now it's here goes AJ Styles against whoever. He's gonna do the phenomenal forearm. Here we go. It's too much. I'm no longer. It's like classic. You know how I feel about eggnog. But if you gave me eggnog every single day for the rest of my life, I'd be like, eggnog again?
It's not eggnog
Dog,
season
really?
anymore. You can't have eggnog in July. It would be delicious in July, but you can't just bust that out every day in July. You gotta it has to have a certain place in time, like pumpkin spice. You cannot have pumpkin spice in the spring. That's when you have it now, and that's when you have the riots and stuff. But that's a different story altogether. Hey Don, I'm gonna let you do your host thing, and because we got quite a few luminaries in the building here.
All right, all right. So we're gonna start the official broadcast in three, two, one. We're just gonna ask you guys some questions and make it more like a panel. We're not even gonna really review what's going on per se. It's just gonna be some questions here or there, and as we add more people, we'll just kind of add them into the loop. So we'll figure it out as we go.
Let's do some introductions, though.
I got you.
Okay.
All right, so at this point, we're going to let everybody know who we've got going on as we are in the midst of a special edition of the WrassleCast. This is a 3-year anniversary as we have the black and white members of the WrassleCast, the OGs, stepping in tonight. Just trying to show them some love as, this is our 3rd anniversary. So first and foremost, we're going to jump in with some of the OGs. Of course, we've got the chairman of the board, classic materia, the originator, creator. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Please hold your applause. Bawit Grana Wit Ninibong, everybody, and welcome to the WrassleCast. 3 years of this iteration. I'm so proud to be here with a lot of my originals, of course, the new WrassleCast crew, and with you, the listener. Thank you for tuning in for so often and for so long, and we really appreciate you. And we're going to try to give you a good show today, and just celebrate what's made the WrassleCast the longest running pro wrestling podcast in these black podcast streets. No, it's not actually, because Ring Time Pro Wrestling I think predates us. But it's kind of what's made us a great family network, and we're just happy to be here doing this for you. So thank you.
All right. Speaking of Ring Time Pro Wrestling, we've got the Holt Foundation. We've got Mr. Keith Holt. We've got Miss Keisha Holt. How are y'all doing?
I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Keith, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh man, glad that you could come. Glad that you could come. Let everybody know where they can find y'all, where you can find your writing and your podcast.
Everything can be found at ringtimeprowrestling.com. It kind of gives you a link and reach out to everywhere we at and what we're doing.
All right, all right. Glad that y'all could make it for this special edition of the WrassleCast. And also joining us, West Coastin, doing this thing. We've got none other than Rashani on location. What's up, man?
Not much. I just want to remind everybody to still forget Classic. I know I'm on his show and all, but this is a good time for a promo. Classic, you've been ducking me for the last 3 weeks, dude. And you know that when I see you, you're going to get run over by the D train. By the way,
hold on. Can someone translate that for me? Because all I hear is a lot of gibberish. This is Libra season, and I don't understand any of what he just said right now. You can't come into my home.
I got braces. I'm trying to learn how to talk again.
Hey, man. Cut your food in little pieces and chew slow. All right?
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm Rashani from the Single Simulcast. Been down since A1, since day one. Shout out to everybody out here on the WrassleCast. Thank you for having a brother out here to talk real quick.
All right, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. I'm joined by, returning from a long hiatus, Mr. Samuel Kalunga. What's going on, Sam?
Oh, I was trying to figure out if I was muted or not. How's it going?
Nope. You good, man? How you doing?
Fantastic.
Oh, man. Good to hear from you. And we're also joined by my man, Mr. Work Hard. What's going on, Magnum Prime?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Luckily, Classic was able to do a swap with TNA, so I'm here, and I think Christian is there, so I was able to make an appearance. I'm just happy to be free, because TNA really got screwed. You guys got screwed. Well, anyway, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. So, of course, the WrassleCast can be found on cspn.us. You can also find us on WrassleCast.tumblr.com. Follow the WrassleCast on Twitter at WrassleCast. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Don Delarente. So we're just going to get right into it. I've just got some questions. We're going to just work a panel. It's going to be a very special edition. We're not really going to follow what happened on the shows per se. We're just going to talk about some things, overarching themes in the world of professional wrestling. So first and foremost, I'm going to go around the room to the OG WrassleCast members. We'll start with Classic Materia. And I just want to know, of course, you brought together the idea of the podcast, but just give us some of your memories and what you felt you brought to the podcast every week in the original form. Tell the people the original form, the origin of the OG Black and White WrassleCast.
You give it a lot of credit and a lot of glory that it doesn't deserve. I literally was bored out my mind watching wrestling, watching Monday Night Raw. Michael Cole was just driving me, just grinding it on my gears, like just running my nerves with his terrible commentary and his his vintage this and vintage that and whatever. And I just thought, we have live tweets of stuff, you can tweet things. Why not have like a live podcast where I do my own commentary? And that's really what the WrassleCast, how that was born, was we're just going to sit here and watch wrestling like we normally do, but we're just going to give our own commentary. And it was like a running, ongoing commentary of the show as it happened. It was not the most well thought of idea. It was, what do you say, poorly ill-advised, poorly executed at the beginning. It was like I just called some friends and said, hey, let's watch wrestling together and talk about it. And it became a regular weekly thing after a while. It was like we were just up there doing it. And I don't know. It just picked up steam and became, we put a name on it and everything. And we had like the WrassleCast All-Stars and, we had a Hall of Fame and built off of that. So when that kind of went away and the old cults of the show went away and stuff, it was like, okay, this is something I always thought I would want to bring back. But now I got to make it a real show. I can't just have, because these shows are still too long. What do I do next? And that's kind of where we got the current iteration. But most of the folks you hear or see today, or while we're recording this, they've been there when we were just sitting there talking Raw and SmackDown and sometimes TNA and like really just watching wrestling live. And it's just been great because we got to make some good friends, got to do some, make some connections, and really got to, enjoy the product together. I remember we did a lot of pay-per-view specials. We think we did a WrestleMania with the WrassleCast, and it was just fun times. And actually, there's places online you can still hear the old shows, and every now and then I listen, but it was a slow drag too. It was like there were a lot of moments that was like quiet because we're just watching, and there were other moments where it was just like everyone was talking at once. And of course, some people aren't here today that were just this they're super characters. They were just coming up with some wild stuff. I'm talking about one Brandon Murphy who was kind of a thorn in our side, but was kind of a great character too. But yeah, it was just great. And I'll go around and everyone can talk about the WrassleCast, their experience, but I loved it.
All right. Rashani, I'll get your comments next. Just
You know what? You know what? Classic is full of guano. When the WrestleCast started, it was literally just literally legends sitting around a TV talking trash about anything they wanted. The WrestleCast would start when the show started, and it would end when Classic got tired. So the show would end, Raw would end, and we'd still be talking, supposed to be in the background yawning and stuff. And there was nothing like it. There was nothing like it. It was like back then there were folks who were doing podcasts where they would get on Netflix all together and watch Netflix and comment on it. What Classic did was that next step. It was like Mystery Science Theater 3000 for wrestling. And even now, when there's other podcasts, a Squared Circle or whatever out there, there's nothing like the WrestleCast. There will never be anything like the WrestleCast because there's no one like Classic. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to come on and talk my truth and make fun of people. And gosh, there, wow. And just drop in and listen to hear the inane rants that they were coming up with. So it's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad to have been a part of it. I'm glad to have gotten out safely, and I'm glad to be back on the show again because I'm quite sure that it's a miracle that I didn't get choked out at any given moment by Classic himself. Anyway.
Well, the West Coast is a long way. My arms can't reach that long, but one day I got to come out there and we got to hug it out.
Oh yeah, for sure, Lee. Maybe I'm gonna fight you.
we gonna scrap first, the best 2 out of 3 falls, and then we're gonna show respect at the end. Like, yeah, I respect you as a competitor.
Yeah. Plus, you wouldn't hit a guy with braces.
I'll wear glasses. It'll be a stalemate. Yeah.
Miss Keisha Holtz, tell me your thoughts of being a host on the WrestleCast and the times and experience with Classic and all the band of characters.
I thank my brother for introducing me to it, and I must say, like, it has been a very interesting experience. I haven't had too many, unfortunately, just because work schedules changes in life and stuff. But I can honestly say when I was first introduced to the WrestleCast, like I thought everybody was hilarious. Like I found it to be a very interesting experience from the standpoint of like being able. One, I was excited because I got to talk to other people about wrestling. Like I was like, okay, yes, thank you. Like me and Keith did the podcast every week, but the fact that I was able to like venture outside of that and talk to other folks that actually understood me when I was talking about it was greatness. Because I have, of course, I have my friends and that stuff like that, but they're not avid wrestling fans like the rest of us. So, my experiences have been nothing but joyful. It's been exciting. I try to hop on every week, just interacting with everybody in general. The times that I have been on, I have definitely had fun with it. And I have to say, like, I really, it's just been interesting, but it's been the greatest part of interesting, and I have to honestly say, like, I am so glad that I have met all of y'all, and that I've definitely had a good time just every time I've hopped on, and just even said it even a little bit, just interacted even a little bit. So it's been good. That's pretty much the best way for me to describe all of it.
All right. Well,
It's been
And
awesome.
Don, let me interject
yes.
here and say that Keisha, and there's a reason we call her this. She's the first lady of the WrassleCast. The first woman that we've had on the show. And with her and Keith Holt Jr., of course the brother and sister tag team of pro wrestling podcasts, they're very well respected and revered by all of us here because of the work they still to this day do with their show. And it's a voice that we, as we talk about, like giving, letting black women lead, or making sure we hear from women more than ever. I mean, we were doing that back then, and of course there was a couple of hey girl, how you doing, that kind of thing, but you ain't gonna do that you ain't gonna talk to all fresh to Keisha in front of her brother. And plus she'll punch you in the mouth too, but she can hold her own with anybody talking about pro wrestling, and that's what we love and respect about her. And of course, Keisha, you're wonderful. So the first lady of the WrassleCast, we gotta basically bow to the queen right here.
Thank you.
Of course.
Mr. Keith Holt, some of your experiences and your time dealing with classic material, keeping him in check.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. No, it was a great time. Classic is one of the first friends I met in this podcast world. One thing he allowed me to do was come on and just be talent. I didn't have to produce the show. Didn't have to try to figure out what's going on, what's out there. It was a good time just getting to meet different people. And hey, man, the WrassleCast had a life of his own, and sometimes we left wrestling in the middle of the show.
Man, we talked about Monday Night Football some nights, or NBA. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
That sounds like a good time, a variety show centered around wrestling, kind of like a Lucha Underground.
Yeah. And one
Talking
thing I'll
about
say
everything with wrestling in the middle.
One thing I'll say about Keith, no one does armchair booking or like kind of Monday night quarterbacking of booking, or his kind of he's the real Black Vince right there. Because he will basically rebook a show like on the fly. We'll be talking, and he'll like, if I was doing this, I would book it this way. And like he just has some great insight into the sport and into kind of the aspects of putting together a good show. And that's something I've always love to learn to respect and revere about him. And of course, he's just a great person to bounce things off of. So I'm glad that he was a part of our experience and part of our show.
You do know I'm gonna call him the Black Vince from now on.
Yeah.
That's gonna be his name when I see him. Like,
he is Black Vince McMahon. Vince. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm more like a Paul Heyman than Vince.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna rename him in my phone as such. Like, it's just
there you go.
He calls me,
you better change your Twitter handle.
Black Vince. I'm with it. I'll make sure his ringtone is No Chance in Hell and everything. I'm gonna go all out.
You better work on that strut.
Well, I am very thankful that all of you guys could make it and represent the OG WrassleCast.
Hold on. We got one more OG that's actually, he's a modern day and he's also OG. He kind of blurs, straddles the fence there. Our man Samuel Kalunga, the good old JR of the WrassleCast, he's been there for some of those old episodes too.
Oh, okay. Sam, word or two about the old days?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially when we were doing the Hall of Fame inductions and stuff. That was really fun.
Any other moments of outside of the wrestling part conversations you remember?
To be honest, I don't really remember much, but I was around. I was around for a few episodes.
He was. Right. He was. I think you were probably one of the first ones to go, what the hell kind of thing is this you're doing? Like, I remember that. It was like, yeah, Sam, we're doing this, the 3-hour show. We're talking wrestling. And he was like, huh? and you know, he came on and fit right in. But you know, we every time I presented this to someone new when we were doing it, it was like, why are you doing that? And it's a 3 hour show. Why? And they come in and kick in, sit in with us, and you know, sometimes it's fun, and sometimes it's like we feel like we've done it for 3 hours or 4 hours. So,
All right. At this time, I want to introduce our SmackDown Matters correspondent, the lady who runs the place, Miss Didi Jonay, returning after a hiatus last week. Hello, Miss Didi Jonay.
Hi, friends.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are all 75 of you?
We're fine. We're fine.
I'm
Now,
so happy to hear that.
I'm glad that you're here this week because you're going to be the first one to start off our panel
Oh,
tonight.
Lord. Okay. Sure.
Yes, going to bring you in just fresh, ambush you.
Cool. I got my
Everybody's
drink. I'm
been
ready.
waiting.
Mhm.
Everybody's been waiting, I know, for a whole week. You got to talk about him. Sami Zayn, your favorite ginger spicy Caucasian,
Yes, he is.
stepped over to the hashtag Kill Life.
Yes, he did.
Tell the people of the WrassleCast on this special edition your thoughts.
Well, if you've been paying attention, you know that I believe that heel is life. So I'm quite happy with this. I'm fine with it.
How about the shocking turn of the Hell in the Cell? Give us your thoughts on the match. You weren't here last week. Kind of give us some of your emotions and things like that, and just what you felt like in the moment seeing him actually come to the rescue of Kevin Owens.
When you live tweet, if you live tweet along with me, you could have seen it in real time. It was very shit. Somebody moved Kevin. Who moved Kevin? Sami moved Kevin? Like, literally in 6 seconds, my emotions went through all of that. And I was like, oh my God, Sami moved Kevin. And then I thought, Sami is the kind of friend everybody needs because that's real. He saved that man's life. Might have killed Shane, but hey. So, yeah, I was. And the thing of it is that Sami's never just going to be an evil heel. He's just going to be the heel that he is, which is I take care of my best friend who happens to be a heel. So I guess that tangentially makes me a heel. And also being good doesn't do anybody any good, which, duh. I could have told you that.
yeah. Did it seem like Sami was in limbo for a while because they didn't know what to do with his character? They had him be this like annoying Rain Man type character for a while. So you could kind of see it was going somewhere, but you know, just to kind of turn him to a point where he's helping the guy that power bombed him onto the apron not too long ago. It's kind of this is surprising.
It makes sense if you understand Sami, and he's just a gullible Canadian. They don't hold grudges, you know. He was in the man's wedding, you know. Huh?
Yeah,
hope he
best
don't
man.
hold grudges.
Listen, I'm just saying, you know, some friends are those kind of friends where you pick up where you left off and you save them from a clothesline from 20 feet up. It was going to be an elbow drop. Listen, Sami's just a good friend. It's not about what Kevin deserves. Exactly. It's not about what Kevin deserves. It's about what Sami feels in his heart. I guess.
Pull me off the table in the end.
Well,
I'm just hoping that now that he's a bad guy, they'll actually call it the hell of a kick instead of the haluva kick. The hell's a haluva?
I like haluva. It sounds ethnic. Maybe it's Syrian.
That sounds like a dip of some kind.
Haluva kick. Haluva dip.
Haluva dip.
You get some chips with haluva dip.
Oh, you're talking about hell of a good dip. Oh, it is a dip.
Oh yeah, it is a dip, isn't it? I forgot.
It is a dip. Yeah, they make guacamole. It's a dip.
Sounds like Heavy D's friend, the overweight lover and the haluva.
Oh, so now I'm gonna open this question up to everybody that's on the panel, as we just got joined, running in from the Wheeling and Dealing podcast, Mr. Neil Carter. What's going on, Neil?
What's going on? It's the Black Scott Norton in the building.
Glad that you could join us.
Happy to be here.
All right, so I'm gonna open this up to everybody, and I'm gonna start with G Money on this, and then we're gonna go to Sam. We're gonna work our way around. Jinder Mahal as your WWE champion, and his subsequent challenge to Brock Lesnar for a SummerSlam match. Greg, you have the floor, sir.
Uh, you gotta give it up for the people of India, I guess. I mean, no, I don't think anybody in America really cares to have this match happen. But there's like well over a billion people there, and they have pockets that Vince would like to get into. So it'll be compelling money making venture if they can make something out of the match. But I don't really see anything positive coming out of it because if it ends in anything outside of some sort of crazy double DQ, you kind of devalue both titles, even though it wouldn't be a title versus title match. And you really gonna make Jinder look bad because he would need to beat somebody like a Brock Lesnar to elevate him within the company. So
True.
hey, it'll make WWE a lot of money in that part of the world, and I think that's the only good thing that could be said from it.
All right, Sam, your thoughts about Jinder as a champ and challenging Brock?
Okay, so when he first became champ, I was like, "This is stupid. They're giving it to a jobber." But he has improved his poise as of late. Like he actually carries himself as a champion now. You know, he walks in, he cuts a good heel promo, and then he's out. Still can't wrestle with the damn, but that's neither here nor there. But he's at least improved his poise a lot to where you at least he's at least he can present himself well as a champion. So kudos to him for that, for actually figuring out what he needed to do to look like a champion. As far as
Okay.
him and Brock, I mean, that's since it's not title versus title. The consensus is that Brock is gonna somehow win by DQ or something, and we'll be able to tell whether or if the match happens last. Then I don't know what's gonna happen, but if it happens like second, before the main event, then yeah, it's gonna be just Brock winning by DQ or something.
All right. Singh brothers, I hope they got their insurance paid up. They could be taking a beating that night. Uh, Keish, I'm going to go to you and your thoughts about Jinder Mahal and his championship reign over on SmackDown.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. Like when Jinder became the number one contender, I was questioning everything in life about wrestling. I said, why? Like, how is this even possible? So when he won, I was done. I was just kind of like, this can't even be. Who booked this? Seriously. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I understand it. I was just questioning it because last time I seen dude, he was he had just like lost a match like maybe not too long before that. So I'm just sitting here like he would literally has just been on this losing streak and it's been ridiculous. But then it started to kind of grow on me. Um, the suits, the presents, he added the Singh brothers to his overall interests and just him and his in general. Like I was like, you know what? I can get with this. Him challenging Brock Lesnar, I can't get with that. I don't agree with it, but because I personally just don't fare for it being a good match. Like to me, it's gonna suck. Like it's just gonna suck all the way around. I don't even him being the champion actually has grown on me now. I actually am all for it. I think he's been doing an incredible job personally. His wrestling might need some work, but I mean, other than that, like the Indian celebrations and the entrances, like I think his ring entrances are incredible. I think that his presence is incredible. His promos are good. Like I think personally, like he's been doing an incredible job as champion, especially with the Singh brothers accompanying him. I think it just adds on to his overall presentation of himself. But I don't know about this whole Brock Lesnar challenge. I'm not really feeling that too much. I think that's a little bit too high because I mean, he already was elevated very fast from where he was to like now. Cause like he literally just jumped like from losing every week to being WWE champion. So it was confusing to me all the way around together. But now I'm just thoroughly trying to see where they're finna go with this whole thing with him and Lesnar because I'm like, do you really want to challenge Brock Lesnar, sir? Like, I understand you're WWE champion, but you're still Jinder Mahal. So I'm gonna really need for you to back up a little bit. Leave that alone. That's not for you. Like
He's been
I
doing.
really can't get with it.
He's
But
been doing all that training for something.
yeah, you know what? He got to, cause I'm like, well, he's a champion, so I mean, he better be training to do something.
What was it you say, Don, on the show? No one trains harder than Jinder Mahal.
That's right.
No one takes more supplements than Jinder Mahal.
Keith.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yes. I'm gonna get in court.
I don't know if he failed the wellness policy yet. But I'll say this. I had mixed emotions when he won. One, it was hey, we're just really openly shilling like this. But on the flip side, I cannot be mad at a man representing his people. And they have paired him with every major Indian star in the United States. I'm surprised I haven't seen Mindy Kaling on on SmackDown at some point. But this Brock thing, like everybody else, I think is a little far. The Singh brothers, I don't know if they know what they've signed up for. They might want to watch some old J&J Security clips to understand that this is going to end bad for them. But nothing really surprises me in wrestling, so I wait to sit back and see how it plays out.
Okay, Rashani.
No one cheats like Mahal, gets beat up like Mahal. Nobody can suck on my balls like Jinder Mahal. I hate him. And I'll tell you straight out, if he even lasts more than 32 seconds with Brock Lesnar after Brock beat up everybody, I swear to God, we're going to have all sorts of issues. I'm not joking. This is not hyperbole. I will stop watching the WWE. There is no way Jinder Mahal should have beat Shinsuke Nakamura, let alone stand toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar. Let's look at all the people that Brock Lesnar has beat the snot out of that Jinder Mahal can't see. Oh, John Cena. He threw John Cena all around the ring for a good 30 minutes. John Cena got maybe one hit in. If Jinder Mahal does anything, and I don't care about them two little kids that he got on this side called the Singh brothers, there's nothing that you can tell me. This better be the swan song. This better be the fight song. This better be the WWE telling India, you know what, we break up with you. We're done. Because if it turns into a draw, you know what? If Braun Strowman shows up in there and beats up Brock Lesnar, or if anything happens other than Brock Lesnar beating up Jinder Mahal, I'm mad. I am furious. Period. No joke, no hyperbole, no side note. I will cancel the WWE network. Real talk.
You heard it here first, folks. So we'll be checking back in a couple of months to see if Rashani still is a subscriber to the network.
So how many seconds did you say, Rashani? So we can get it down officially?
If they do not have Brock Lesnar throwing Jinder Mahal through they better have Jinder Mahal answer a cell phone and Brock Lesnar choke him out like Ghost Dad. I'm saying that Jinder Mahal should not even come out the back. They better have him stub his toe and say there's an injury, and the new person's coming in the fight is Braun Strowman. There's no way that you can tell me that this guy who was just barely on the radar, he was fighting against Mojo Rawley. Come on, dude. There's no way you can convince me that he's a superhero. This ain't Teen Wolf. He didn't suddenly turn into the wolf. Nothing happened. He's the same scrub he was a year ago. Seriously. Like, the dude
He took
sucks.
something to turn into the wolf.
And you know what else? The problem is, y'all talking about his steroids and everything. He's got old man chest. He has a chest of a 64-year-old man who's lifting weights. His tits are still sagging. It's horrible. There's no reason why Jinder Mahal should be the Mahara. Nigga, you from Canada.
So is Roddy Piper. God rest his soul,
Yeah.
rest in peace.
Hey, the man boobs didn't slow Flair down.
Mr. Neil Carter, your thoughts on Jinder Mahal?
Well, so I agree that it was kind of a shock that Jinder won the belt. I will say that he did grow on me as champion, more so as a fungus than anything else. Now, I am a part of his. I am a part of the Jinder Hive, Jinder Gang, whatever they're calling themselves. Mainly due to the fact that while people are like, oh, he's he's a terrible wrestler and he isn't going to do because of who he was wrestling prior to being champion, therefore because his physique, when he was a member of 3MB prior to getting fired, was not good. So then he trained with the likes of CT Fletcher. For those who don't know who CT Fletcher is, I recommend checking him out before you write him off as some worthless person. Please check CT Fletcher out. Hashtag it's still your motherfucking set. But anyway, while he was training with the likes of CT Fletcher, he took it upon himself. Well, no, there's this concern that again, it's PEDs and drugs and everything else. But again, if you don't understand the natural bodybuilding industry for what it is and everything like that, I'm not going to get into the weeds about that. But as far as this match is concerned, I think it's likely that Brock is going to go over regardless of where it is, mainly due to the fact that he's going to, this is building towards him being fed to Roman at the upcoming WrestleMania in New Orleans. So everything is building towards that, right? So every challenge that Brock faces, he's going to win. He's going to get beat up a bunch of times. He's going to put on a little bit of offense, and then he's going to hit the F5, and then the match is going to be over. Plus, I mean, the rosters are kind of not necessarily deflated, but there isn't really a credit there. The only person that could qualify to challenge, in my opinion, Jinder right now, outside of Brock, that's on the SmackDown roster, is AJ Styles. And if they build a program post this match, which is, I hope, the intention, then we're all good. Who's to say what's happening in the WWE booking offices? But I'm looking forward to to see what happens post this. Because there was concern that Jinder was going to hold on to the belt for a considerable long time. And he has held on to the belt. Everybody said, oh, he's going to drop it to, Shinsuke in his first match, and he didn't. Then he fought Shinsuke again and beat him the second time clean. So, the internet is a little bit in a tizzy right now. So, I don't, I guess I'm indifferent about the result of the match. I think it's too early to write home about who we should be angry at as far as what the result's going to be, because for all intents and purposes, it's likely that Brock is going to win no matter where it is. So I'm indifferent.
All right. Mr. Classic Materia, are you a part of the Jinder Gang, sir?
Oh, front and center, man. Come on. I don't understand all this hate. All this. Well, you know what? I can understand hate because he's a heel. He's supposed to be, reviled, and he's supposed to be the bad guy. But the fact is, you have to respect, the positioning that they've had with him as far as Jinder goes. They kind of gave him the rocket ship and shot him to the top. But once he got there, he stayed there of his own talents as far as behind the mic. And
no, he didn't.
Yes, he did. You think about the fact that he cuts those promos and he gets the crowd in such an ire. And, it's, in some ways it is go away heat, but in some ways it's like, look, I'm going to speak now to my people in their native Punjabi, and it's it's that whole. It's the throwback to that xenophobic times of the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, which. Yeah, that was problematic back then, but it does capture into the essence of, getting into the under the skin of the fans and getting them to kind of unite against a certain villain, or making, kind of doing that villainy thing. And at the same time, it does open and expose people to, kind of a different type of wrestler. This is not your typical, jacked up, corn-fed dude or even brother. You're pretty much going outside the spectrum even further. Now, it did seem like a play, like, oh, WWE is going to India, so why not just put Jinder at the top, and they're not going to Tennessee and they're going to put Heath Slater at the top, or down in Florida. But the fact is, it worked, and with the Singh brothers being added on and the different touches to the celebration, I do compare it a lot to like a JBL, which, look, none of us think JBL is a great wrestler or a Hall of Famer, but we did hate the hell out of JBL when he was on the top, and at the point, after a certain point, it kind of warmed up to you a little bit, like as far as the cabinet and stuff, and established him as a top tier star. So even if Jinder does lose the strap, he's not going to lose to Brock Lesnar, but no matter what happens with this match, it could be a kerfuffle. Lesnar could go over cleanly, or it could be, a thing where Lesnar loses by some distraction and still demolishes Jinder after the match or something. And, so there's ways that you could have both parties still come out looking like they're supposed to look. Jinder's supposed to look like that heel coward that gets away with it with those tactics, and you're supposed to hate him, but if you hate him because you're like, well, he didn't earn his spot or whatever, he's been wrestling, he's been in the business as long as most of those guys there, and the fact is, it's just his turn, and he kind of has actually done all the right things, whether it's backstage or politically or whatever. And yeah, you could say that it's the India thing, but it might have put him there, but he kept himself there. And the Singh brothers have been a great addition.
I think my biggest issue with the dude is that everything he does is like the opposite of that song. Every little thing she does is magic. Everything he does sucks. Like, his finishing move sucks.
Look at who's at the top of the. We got Roman Reigns. His super move is a jumping punch.
I hate Roman Reigns. I might hate him more than I hate Jinder, to be honest with you. It's been a long, hard road. Let me tell you something, brother.
Finishing moves ain't what they used to be, man.
The thing about Jinder is, I gotta admit, having the Singh brothers behind him was a brilliant thing, because there's literally no way that he could win on his own. But at what point is that going to run out of steam? Like, they've always had these folks who have entourages, and at some point you have to let them fight on their own. And if you let him fight on his own against Brock Lesnar should rip his arms off. There's no real way around it. If the Singh brothers come in there, Brock Lesnar should rip them in half. So I can't foresee a way that it works out where Jinder Mahal survives.
Well, he survived against Randy Orton, and Randy Orton was distracted by the Singh brothers to the point where, Jinder was able to put his finisher on him. Like I said, either way that the wind blows as far as this match, this Titanic, super bout goes, both are still going to come out looking strong, because they're doing this overseas in India. The WWE's got your money already, and and you can still move on to the next angle on each side. As far as Brock Lesnar, he's been away for a while. So it's the first time seeing him. They're going to obviously make him look very strong. He might just come out and steamroll, or he might come out and actually have a challenging match because of the interference from the Singh brothers and still come out on top. But it's going to be one of those things where Jinder can just come back and say, hey, look, I still have my title. I still run SmackDown Live. Can't nobody here beat me. And it's like whoever steps up next, whether it's AJ Styles or someone else, and you can still continue that on. You're not unifying the belts. You don't really stand to lose anything. And if Jinder comes off looking like a weak, scared, cowardly type, he's a heel. He's supposed to look that way. So you kind of get what you're supposed to get. But the fact is, he won that title against Randy Orton, who's Mr. All Lives Matter. And that's why everyone kind of rallied as far as Jinder Gang, because finally it was something different. WWE wasn't just going with the same old, white bread champion. Jinder might not have, quote unquote, earned it, but you notice when he put him in that position, he's holding it down, and he's doing it. He's basically living that heel life more so than most heels do. It's a true, authentic heel, and he's really embracing that character. I applaud him. Jinder Gang for life, son.
So now we're going to shift it over to, I'm going to get Didi Jonay back in here. We're going to talk about the artist, Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, everybody, of course, felt like Nakamura should have won the championship from Jinder at the last pay-per-view that they had for SmackDown. Came up short 2 times in a row.
Mm.
Do you feel like you've seen the best of Shinsuke Nakamura, or do you feel
Absolutely
like
not.
okay? Now, what do you feel like they need to do so you can feel like you're getting your money's worth from Shinsuke?
Have him be a winner. Like it's not rocket surgery. No, no, he's great, and everybody knows he's great, and he's charismatic, and everybody knows he's charismatic. But you can't awesome people in positions where they keep losing, and then be like, "Well, they don't know what the deal is." Oh, you made them a loser. Like, so now you need to do what's correct and do what's accurate, and make him a winner.
Okay, G Money.
Preferably at a big, pay-per-view with like 17 violinists.
I ask this question around the room. How would y'all rehab Shinsuke Nakamura? Who does he need to go against? What needs to happen for him to be the man that we thought he was going to be coming from New Japan and then through NXT? So, Greg, that's your question. That's your question next.
Ooh, get a working DeLorean from Doc Brown and basically win one of those matches against Jinder. That will help out a lot. I mean, he beat Cena cleanly. Like, that's huge. Like, how many people have beat Cena in the middle of the ring, clean, no interference in the past 15 years? But yet,
First time
off
out.
that, yeah, first time out. But yet, off that, the steam was completely lost. So, I mean, somehow, I guess you get him to win the title somehow off of Jinder, I guess. But I mean, I guess the obvious is probably you got to put him against AJ probably at Mania, right? I mean, that's got to happen just from their history in New Japan. So maybe if you can get the crowd and the customers excited off of that, maybe you can bring him back into the title picture that way. But other than that, hell, he's beaten Cena. There's not really anybody else as big. I mean, I know the crowd loves Owens, but I think it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough to do that. And that's the better of the two shows in SmackDown. It's going to be tough. But he's a super talented guy. So if anybody could do it, he could do it.
All right. Mr. Keith Holt, put your Booker hat on. How would you rehab Shinsuke Nakamura?
I might take him off TV for a little while. One thing I know with wrestling is people like a return. So maybe create an injury or something, just take him out for a little while and then let him run through a few people. Like Greg said, I think a program with AJ would have to be the thing, but it would have to be something very meaningful. Like they can't just throw them together in any kind of feud. I mean, there had to be something for the belt. And of course they have to build the belt up a little bit too. But I still think it's possible.
All right. Rashani, I'll take your thoughts now on Shinsuke Nakamura. Do you like him?
I love him. I love his music. I love his intro. I love everything about the dude. But honestly, they should have never booked him against Jinder. Ever. As long as they knew that Jinder was going to be their godhead or they needed him to be the champion for SmackDown, they shouldn't have had him go heads up with him. They should have, however, had him go heads up against Kevin Owens. Because Kevin Owens is agile enough and talks enough trash that they could have had a back and forth that would have lasted for a while. They didn't have to do a Hell in a Cell. They didn't have to do anything like that. Just do a normal series of matches like Cesaro and Sheamus did. Best of 7 between Kevin Owens and Shinsuke Nakamura for no reason. And people would have shown up. He was a superstar. And Kevin's a superstar. And together they would have set the house on fire. And then when Jinder finally ran his course or whatever, then they could have brought him back in. If Jinder was still going, Have him fight Sami Zayn. Same thing. Two people who really would have had good matches against each other. Because when Sami and Shinsuke matched up at NXT, they tore the roof off. So I would say that they needed to avoid the champion if they weren't going to make him the champion. And they really put him in there like they were lining him up to be champ. And they failed. They made him look weak. They made my boy look real bad.
Keisha, how would you help Shinsuke get out of the rut that he's in? Everybody feels like he's kind of underperforming right now.
Well, there's no way to really. I know one way that people usually do it is just kind of like, kind of how they did Dolph, where he just comes one week and it's just like he's just this whole other person. You can't really do that with Shinsuke because he's so well known. Like, it's really hard for you to. You can't really repackage him because everybody knows his name. So they know everything about him. Personally, I think he needs to be moved. Personally, I don't think he needs to be put on. I don't think he needs to be on SmackDown right now. I think that if you move him to Raw, that it might help him. I think that it will be a fresh place for him to grow. But the only thing about it is Raw is a trap to me. Like, I say that because moving him to Raw is just gonna put him in this place where he could end up just being like this mid card, and it could just end up it's just a trap. It's literally a trap. So I don't really see how you can effectively revamp him in a way, except for consistently watching who you pair him with as far as feuds go. Like, it's him. The whole gender thing was it's disastrous almost, but it's like you can't help but to understand why it was done, because Jinder Mahal is a WWE champion. Like, it only makes sense in that aspect, and that's it. Like, everything else is just, I don't know why this is going this way for him, because as charismatic and as exciting it is for people to see Shinsuke, and as much as folks love him, like, it's just kind of like, why? The fact that we're even having this conversation is very questionable, but it's only because he's not the first person that really comes to mind sometimes when it comes to SmackDown Live. So, I don't know. I can honestly tell you, I don't know what you can do for him, because, at the end of the day, like, it's kind of like he's just stuck in a place, and I hate that they don't really. I feel like they don't have nothing for him. So
Yeah.
it's sad, because he is too much of an incredible wrestler for any of this to even be happening.
Mr. Samuel Kalunga, your thoughts on Nakamura?
Well, first off, his promos, when, it's one thing, because they say, his English isn't very good, but they still stay letting him cut promos with the damn mouthpiece in his mouth. I can't understand them anyway. Why are you doing that to me? That's one thing. That's one thing I noticed. Another thing is they need to stop putting him in stupid feuds with goddamn Dolph Ziggler, a guy who's going nowhere. And just start elevating him a bit. Give him a feud. Elevate him, and then have him in the main event. Have him in the main event storylines. Have him as a main eventer. It's in all these other promotions. Your number one dude, your champion, is the best guy. That's not the same in WWE. Your best guy is not the champion. Your champion is Jinder. If I don't know, he should be having main event level matches. He shouldn't be a freaking mid carder. Just another dude.
All right, Neil, your thoughts on Shinsuke?
Well, so I have an idea that I was kind of sitting on, that I kind of formulated while I was waiting. there is a lot of talent in the mid card that whether or not Shinsuke sits there, you could fit him there, or you could put him in the upper mid, the upper mid card to the main event. If you keep him as a face, he could be having longer matches, with Rusev. He could be having longer matches with the likes of Aiden English, who seems to be getting a little bit of a push as of late. And then stretch that out until a WrestleMania, have a match either against a Randy Orton at WrestleMania, or a match against AJ Styles, or a triple threat. And then while that's going on, Bobby Roode, for all of you who want Jinder to lose the belt, have Bobby Roode seems to be getting this glorious rocket push to the top. So have him fight at WrestleMania for the belt, win the belt, and then the SmackDown following. I don't really care who wins this triple threat or one-on-one match that Shinsuke's in, but then have Bobby turn heel on the WWE Universe and say, look, I didn't win this title, or I'm sorry, you guys didn't win this title, I did. Just like, I'm the glorious one. I'm going to make SmackDown glorious again. And then have Shinsuke come out and win the title that he, because Bobby Roode won the NXT title off of him. And then Shinsuke rode off into the sunset of SmackDown Live. We could do the same thing post WrestleMania and keep that hype, and then have, because like I said, there's plenty of people in the mid-card or upper mid-card for Shinsuke to wrestle right now. This idea that he's kind of lost in the sauce and there's no one for him to wrestle. He can wrestle Dolph. He can wrestle Mike Bennett. He can wrestle Rusev. He can wrestle Aiden English. He can wrestle babyfaces. He can wrestle Randy Orton. He can, if they're going to split up the revamped American Alpha, he can have matches with Shelton Benjamin. He can have matches with Chad Gable. So there's space for him to have matches. He could have matches with either one of the Bludgeon Brothers. So this idea that he can't have matches, I think, or that there aren't matches available for him is a little moot to me. And I think if we build him up towards a WrestleMania point or a post WrestleMania point, and then he takes the belt off of Bobby Roode after WrestleMania, I think that will take him into even greater things, being the SmackDown champion post WrestleMania, and create even more great moments, because there'll be all the people that he beat that will want to challenge him at that point.
I think that everybody thinks that he's above all of those people you just named, and that there's no way that they should be having a chance to wrestle him. That he should only be wrestling the upper top of the card, because that's how he was brought in and that's how everybody perceives him. So, Classic, I'll let you get the last word on Nakamura.
Let me, well, there's a few things. One is this whole thing with the artists just grates at me. And I think it grates at a lot of us. Like the fact that they pretty much took his character, brought him into the main roster, and then started putting all these like little names and monikers on him, which are kind of like, he fashions himself after Michael Jackson. Why are you calling him the artist and just kind of mixing genres? It's like, and I don't know if it's a Vince thing or a creative thing or somebody up there just is out of tune with like pop culture, but you cannot, like, how do you fuck up something so good, so like pure as Nakamura, and he was so over at NXT. Like, how do you fuck that up? It's like fucking up a cup of coffee. What are you doing? You're putting too much sugar in there. And so it's like they're basically taking something that's not broken, fixing it to the point where it's like, look, he's the king of strong style. His style should lend to him pretty much being a complex individual for the roster to go up against. All those names that you mentioned, they should be comers, coming up to him saying, I want to challenge the king of strong style. I can figure him out. He's an enigma, because he has these knee strikes and he's not like imposing, but the fact is he will beat the crap out of you in the ring and he will give you all that you can ask for. When he had that match with Lesnar, years ago, it's like you can always tease something like that because he's somebody that can go to toe with the biggest and baddest of them because his style lends to that. He will fight you and he will want to fight you. But the fact is, all they want to focus on is, hey, well, he emulates Michael Jackson. He's kind of weird and he's Asian and I don't understand him. And it's the same xenophobic attitude that kind of gets people booing Jinder Mahal, but they pretty much say, hey, look, we're going to make these heels very insensitive against, and rather than say, Shinsuke Nakamura, you're the king of strong style, well, there's no one stronger than me, and then you pretty much go toe to toe. And the fact is, this also lends to the problem that you have with pro wrestling in terms of there ain't no jobbers anymore. Everyone's a superstar. So it's like, okay, you got this guy, he's on the main roster, he brought him in as a top star. You should have them face moldy top guys. When you have all those shows and all this content each week, you should have them fighting somebody that's on the rise or that's trying to prove themselves. Shinsuke Nakamura should be a proving ground for a lot of stars that are there. And he may win more than he loses, but the fact is, you want stars that can go toe to toe against him and show his weaknesses so that by the time he does face a Bobby Roode or even a Jinder Mahal and they go over on him in that epic matchup and set up the rematch in that big build towards WrestleMania, you understand this is why Shinsuke lost this round, or this is why this happened. So really, they're pretty much taking something that they're taking gold and they're tarnishing it because they got their heads up their asses. And this is not something we haven't seen before with the WWE, but we're trying to enjoy the ride and enjoy the talent that he is. And I think that's where we are with him. I really am rooting for him. I hope they put him somewhere or they do something with him that's worthwhile, but my confidence is very low. Unless they're going to move him to Raw and pretty much have him kick all the asses over there, I don't see it. I don't see, kind of what they're doing or how they're going to get to where they need to be with him.
All right.
Do you think it's like it was where Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash were ruling the roost back in WCW? Like, do you think there's somebody in Vince and Triple H's ear saying, well, if Shinsuke gets this, then what? And that's why they're not giving him a chance?
I would think Triple H he's a big Shinsuke guy, but the problem is, and I don't think it's like who's top. I don't think it's a Vince thing. I just think they're really, you can tell by how the shows run. In some ways, they're in touch with what the fans are looking for or what is going to resonate with fans. In some other ways, they're just not. Like they were just completely like it's not even creative. Has nothing for you. It's like, did creative even punch the clock today? I don't know. Like maybe they're just it's like they're not even trying. With him as far as this whole thing with you look at the whole thing with how Ziggler and then Jinder ran him down for his accent and his look, or and like these are basic grade school things, and you're like, really, this isn't even necessary. And I think what was it that the fans chanted one time when Jinder and the Singh brothers were talking? They were like, "That's too far." Yeah. Even they know this. They know who's booking this crap. This is bull, and I think they're going to be smarter about it. Tagging them up with Randy Orton going against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was pretty smart, because now that kind of sets up a little side action as far as like he might go up against Kevin Owens again, or he might go up against he might so it gives him a direction to go in, and maybe him being in tag matches is going to give him something to do and keep him occupied. I mean, it doesn't seem fair, but you can only have one guy at the top. And, there's a rotation. There's a lot of guys. AJ Styles deserves to be at the top. So it's like, what do you have? The two of them just go at it? Because now you have all these other up-and-comers that are on the roster, too. So you're going to have to rotate guys around, and you have to find different storylines and angles to keep them busy. And the fact is, they're just not they haven't done a good job so far with Shinsuke, but it's no fault of his own. He pretty much performs and does what he needs to do.
All right. Now, I'm going to open this final question on SmackDown up to just the ladies. Keish and Dee Janae, why is the SmackDown women's division so much better than Ross? Doesn't matter who wants to start. Just one of y'all can take that.
Oh, my God. So, I've always, it's funny, because when they first split the brands, I was very intrigued by the Raw Women's division. But right now, as it stands, like SmackDown is absolutely they're absolutely improved. First of all, they've improved, and I think it was because of the superstar shakeup. Like it's been incredible because now the way that I think the way that the women have kind of been structured and the way that they do the promos and stuff. The crazy thing about the SmackDown Women's division, in my eyes, is that they find a way to utilize all the women. Um, the focus might be on right now Natalia and whoever her number one contender is, but they always find a way to incorporate all the women into the storyline itself so that it doesn't seem like no, if someone's left out. I think with Raw, it becomes really just focused on whoever is the hot one at the time. So right now it's Mickey James and um and Alexa Bliss. I mean, you throw Sasha and all them in there at some point, and like, cause Emma right now is the hot one because she's facing going to face Asuka. Okay, we get that, but like with SmackDown, everybody has this place with the women's. When it comes to the women's division, everyone has its place, and it's not even really about. Um, I think that the talent is better on Raw, but like when it comes to the actual storyline itself, SmackDown is to me better hands down. The women are absolutely awesome when it comes to um creating this picture of yeah, we all got this, you know. I think them when they made Naomi champion, it changed a landscape for SmackDown. When they gave the belt to Natalia, it definitely um, changed a lot of things. When they added Charlotte before all of that, I was like, okay, now we're actually getting somewhere. Um, Carmella to me being coming Mrs. Money in the Bank helped her incredibly. I think with the women, they've done a lot of smart things, and that's what has improved their entire division in itself. So I don't know who it is writing for the women's division on SmackDown, but they're doing an incredible job at trying to keep everybody relevant, trying to keep everybody out in the open and in the picture, and really like trying to get everybody to kind of be placed out there because I don't think right now, and I might be wrong in this, but there's not one woman on that roster that has just been kind of placed to the side and like, all right, we're not going to use you right now. With Raw, that happens a lot, and you be like, okay, I didn't even know that that she was still here. So I think they try to do it for both, but SmackDown is just an incredible job at it. And personally, like I think that they just have a better. I mean, their rosters is a little bit more entertaining. I think that the mix ups between the women on that particular show just happened to, and the wrestling itself is way more intense. Like, out in my eyes. I mean, that's just like I said, that's just a personal opinion, but
All
I
right.
always could be wrong.
Miss Didi Jonay, give us some thoughts on why your SmackDown division is so lit. Didi, you with me? Yeah.
That mute button got her.
Yeah, she got the mute button going. So we're going to shift over to Monday Night Raw. If she jumps in, we'll let her speak. But Monday Night Raw, of course, things they got going on over there, TLC this Sunday. Join us for the live tweet. Hashtag no scrubs cast. Again, hashtag no scrubs cast. So
Very clever.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're going to just start off with the state of Roman Reigns. When he's in the Shield, he is the most popular man on the roster. When he is not in the Shield, he gets booed out of the building. So we will start with Mr. Greg. How do you feel about this Shield reunion and the state of Roman Reigns?
Uh, I still don't think he's been as rehabilitated um, as maybe they would like to have seen him. I guess with everyone who's like over the age of probably maybe 9, he still has he still has work to do with the rest of the audience. But just paying attention to when they started off that promo Monday night, where he was there, he was trying to be the badass, and he was threatening Kurt Angle, to give him their time. I was like, to this day, I know Kurt Angle has had several surgeries on his neck. I would still take him over Roman Reigns at this point. Okay, it's just hard for me to take Roman Reigns seriously. Okay, so he's got some work to do in my book. I do like this match that's coming up on TLC, and that's a great hashtag what you got going for the WrassleCast. I love that, by the way. But I know it's a lot that's being thrown against the wall, 3 against 5, but I like it, and I'm sure they will figure out some way to make Roman look awesome, whether they win or they lose. But he's got a long way to go, and I know they probably want to get him ready for Mania, but I'm just not a Roman Reigns guy.
All right, all right. Rashani, I will let you jump in and your thoughts about Roman. You already gave us a little bit about how you feel. Give us the rest of it.
If you gave me the choice of 35 people that I could have wrestle instead of Roman Reigns, and one of them was um, Colonel Sanders, I still pick all 35 over Roman Reigns. There's nothing intriguing about Roman. He's stiff. He's hollow. He's fake. Um, his catchphrases are stupid. I'm not a good guy or a bad guy. I'm just the guy. He's just stupid. He wants to be his cousin. He can't be his cousin. He has no personality. He's getting the only reason I can even imagine he got pushed initially is because he was an attractive big man, which is what Vince always looks for. And they realized that he can't do a promo. He can't wrestle. He stole, or he didn't steal, but he co-opted finishing moves from other people while they were still around. So the spear, and then that stupid Superman punch. His the way that he gears up for his special moves are stupid. One day I wanted him to just trip as he was walking down the stairs and just fall all the way down, and I was gonna giggle my head off. There's nothing, honestly. If I could get away with it, I would hit him with a spitball. I wouldn't even fight him. I just want to shoot a spitball and hit him right in his forehead while he's doing a promo, just so he can freeze up for a second. The fact that he gets put in the matches where he's shown to be resilient because he gets beat up for an hour and a half and still walks it off is amazing to me. He's not a wrestler. He's a Homer Simpson against Mike Tyson of wrestling. That's what it is. He just sits there till the other guy gets tired. And honestly, if I were his chef, he would eat a draft dick every single day of the week because he can literally eat all the dicks. I hate him. I hate him to pieces. I wouldn't fight him in the street because it's just a character, but I'm sure I wouldn't like him in real life either. He smells like a dick.
If I could be Joey Styles for a minute. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Rashani, for those thoughts. Samuel Kalunga, your thoughts on Roman, and if this the Shield is his hoodie, like Mello, is he going to get superpowers because now he's back in the Shield?
Okay, let me let you in on a little something here that you probably knew already, but you probably didn't. I have not watched Raw since I stopped coming on the show.
Oh, okay.
So
well, the Shield is back together. Do you think it's going to help him?
I heard about that. Well, people, I think he still gets booed when he picks up a mic. I think, from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's not going to help him in the long run because as soon as they break up, they're going to go back to booing him. So it doesn't matter one bit, I don't think.
All right, Mr. Keith Holt, your thoughts on the Shield reunion and just Roman Reigns? Is it gonna help him turn the corner, or is he still gonna be caught up in the same traps he's always been susceptible to?
Yeah. I mean, Roman kind of got caught in an impossible position. They pushed him against all odds. They did it during the Daniel Bryan return, which I think fans never forgave him for. And he never evolved. He still got the same 4 or 5 moves that he does. He's back with the Shield, and nothing's different about him. I mean, he didn't even have to change his clothes. So I don't know if it's how they prep the character or what. But Vince is very dedicated to shoving this Roman Reigns down our throats. And as long as they keep overtly pushing him that way, I don't think anybody's ever going to jump on board with it.
All right, Neil, your thoughts and about
Sorry,
Roman
I was on
Reigns?
mute.
Okay.
So I do agree with Keith a little bit that I think he was kind of he's certainly been forced on us, and I do understand the level of frustration that folks had. I mean, it's the same level of frustration folks had when and that's why the Cena comparison and then eventual the eventual throwaway match at No Mercy happened. That really didn't get the attention. It really was the wrong pay-per-view, and there were so many things wrong with it. The build-up was wrong, even though there were a lot of truths in what John Cena was saying and a lot of his promos, obviously, because they kind of let them kind of just go out there and say how they felt. Cena kind of carried that program, as Cena tends to do with talent that that he believes he can elevate, right? But in contrast, during Cena's kind of rise that people kind of got sick of and are still to this day kind of sick of as well, even though he's a part-timer now, he still Cena didn't have a group to kind of fall back on because while most of his matches were the same, he still put on a very good match, no matter who he was wrestling, right? Whereas with Roman, it's very formulaic. You know what's coming. Yes, everybody has already said already, he has the same 5 moves. He doesn't really do anything different. A lot of time, he's always in a position where he has to win. So but at the same time, it's like, this is the guy that Vince believes is going to lead the company going forward. While there's a ton of talent on both brands, and in addition to that in NXT, I don't think for a second that all of them are going to get fed to Roman. They're all going to lose, and then Roman is just still going to be the one at the top. I think but I think in contrast, there is going to be some talent that is going to get fed to Roman, that is going to get fed up and leave. We already saw 2 departures recently, so I think we as fans are kind of stuck, which has kind of already been said. Just like Roman isn't stuck between a rock and a hard place, so are we as fans. Yes, we could take the same approach and just not watch Raw, but to Classic's point earlier, like, Vince already has our money to a certain extent. The WWE brand already has our money to a certain extent. So, what difference does it make if 1,000 fans don't buy because Roman's there? Like, it doesn't matter, because there's 1,000 fans who buy his merchandise, and he's like, I think he's the 3rd merch seller right now because kids love him. So what else are we going like there's nothing we can do. So
All right. Classic Materia, your thoughts on Roman Reigns, as you like to call him?
Roman Reigns, yes, the new John Cena. He's pretty much, Cena 2.0, if you want to call him that. Even when the feud with Cena, you saw the parallels being drawn and everything. Um, I think this run with the Shield is going to help him to some degree, but not that much. It's going to basically it hides him. It conceals him. You don't have to boo him as much. You don't have to feel like you're just getting this bad experience with Roman Reigns. And it's a nostalgia run. It's a nostalgia factor. I don't think it'll last. I think something might go down where they do split apart again. And I think here's the twist. And again, I'm going to be Keith Holt Jr. for a second here and do a little armchair booking. But I really think that this is another of many opportunities they've got to turn him heel if they really want to do it. Because who would turn on the Shield brothers? It wouldn't be this time Seth Rollins. It would be Roman Reigns. Pretty much telling these guys, I don't need you anymore. This run is done, and I'm above you guys at the end of whatever they do. Kind of like how the Mega Powers ended up splitting up eventually. It's not going to stick because again, the merch is selling and the kids love them. So they're probably going to do something similar or something that along that line where the Shield kind of leaves him alone after this run, and Rollins and Ambrose go back on their separate ways. But this run actually helps him to some extent because it just establishes him a little further and keeps him busy. Now, if that's going to develop his character any, or if it's going to do anything further for him, I don't see that happening. I think that we're still going to end up with a Mania of some kind or some kind of big event where he's going for the title against a big name like a Lesnar and, or Braun Strowman or someone else. And you pretty much are like, oh, here we go again with this BS. But the fact is they've given him opportunity after opportunity, and they've had opportunity after opportunity to basically, make the most of it. And they just keep doing the same cookie cutter business, which is what they do, make him a baby face and have people, try to be sympathetic toward him. Have Braun Strowman flip over an ambulance with him inside, and we still don't feel sorry for him. We're like, thank you, Braun, because we're tired of this guy. And it's the same way with Cena, whereas I think by now a lot of us hardcore jaded fans are like, we're kind of like, well, Cena's had a good run. You can kind of give him some respect, and you still, sing John Cena sucks, but it's more with like a reverence, like how we sing "You Suck" to Kurt Angle. I think eventually we'll warm up to Roman, but it'll be more like, you know what, you've been around long enough. We're tired of booing you. We feel sorry for you, and then maybe by that time he makes his heel run. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't think we will. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening because the thing about John Cena.
Yeah.
John
He's
Cena.
charismatic.
Yes.
Exactly, and he embraced the same way the Rock embraced Rocky Sucks.
Yeah. Roman
Reigns
has it in him. He has it in him. Like when he talks about, your girl loves me or whatever, or that kind of thing, and he starts to be that kind of lover boy where he's like, playing himself up to the women and telling all these like losers at home, whatever, you don't look like me. You can't work out like me. You can't do these things. Your lady loves me. Like that needs to be the heel he embraces, and that needs to be his personality brings out. It just so happens Vince and however many people were yelling in his ear, telling him, "We got to sell these shirts," and little Jimmy is looking up to you, and you got to the kids, and the Susan G. Komen, we got to do all this stuff for that, and and it's like, yeah, he's painted himself into that corner the same way Cena did, where Cena is just a cornball. It's like
What?
Do the hip hop thing.
I swear to God, if Roman Reigns had came out initially and he was the Samoan version of Ravishing Rick Rude,
oh my God,
Yes.
where he's like,
Wow.
put the light on me, everybody
Yeah.
turn the lights down, be quiet. Yeah, I'm all for that. Ravishing Rick Rude was my dude. Roman Reigns is a sad facsimile of things he can never be.
They had a great opportunity after The Undertaker, after he and pretty much ended his career, came out and sat there and took all the boos and the jeers and said, "This is my yard," and then just left.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yes, heel Roman. If he had done that for the next few weeks and build up to like a Braun Strowman or somebody else taking him on, and somehow made out in the finish of that. But instead, they pretty much built Braun Strowman as this, like, pretty much they used Roman to build Braun Strowman as a superhuman, monster beast. And that backfired because people weren't scared of Strowman. They were like, thank you for kicking this guy's ass instead of, it could have been a double turn, but they kept selling it as Roman Reigns. How is he going to defeat this mountain man Braun Strowman? Because they've got their script in front of them and they're not gauging the crowd. They're not gauging responses. And Michael Cole keeps it shilling the same old. Michael Cole's the reason we're all here, by the way, because I can't stand him. Yeah, so get rid of Roman Reigns, get rid of Michael Cole, and I don't know, maybe have The Rock come back and have Roman hit him with a chair.
Ha!
Yeah, this is my cousin. Bam! I don't need your spotlight. And there you go. You go full tilt. Roman Reigns, the baddest man on the planet. Now take off that damn vest. What are you, D-Lo? What is he need protection against? That hurts.
Throw your 2 cents in before we move on from Roman.
I really am just starting to just look at Roman Reigns like, sir, get your life together. Like, I can't deal with him. I think that personally, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like thoroughly excited about the Shield reunion. Okay, like I was waiting for this moment. But it wasn't because of Roman. I'll tell you that. Like, I am not the biggest Roman Reigns fan. Personally, I think he can do way more than what he is. You know what's crazy? I went back and watched Roman when he was a part of NXT for like the short period of time that he was on NXT. And like, I like that Roman Reigns more than the one that's out there right now. Like, that guy is awesome. I don't know what the hell happened when they put him in the Shield and all of that. Like, I was just kind of like, what? Like, the transition that was made and like him himself was just too much. I think that he was elevated way too fast. And with Vince wanting him to be like that guy, they did way too much with him. But it didn't make sense. Like, his promos are still awful. Like, his wrestling is subpar. Like, I'm just kind of like, it's like he was snatched up from development way too fast, and everybody just knows it. You know what I'm saying? But he's been on the main roster for years, so you can't really do anything with him at this point, except like they're just trying to get people to accept him, and it's like, no, we don't accept him for who he is like right now. Like, I think he just needs to turn heel and stop playing games with everybody, because that would be the only thing that can help him right now. Other than him being a part of the Shield, that's literally the only thing as a singles competitor that can help him right now. Because his move skill, his skill set is very limited. I'm not the biggest fan of him. Like, I really ain't. But him being back with Seth and Dean, it helped him. You know what I'm saying? It helped him stay to the side and not having to. But you still see the Superman punch every week. Like, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes it's just annoying. It's like, oh my God, they really need to find something to do with you, because it's just a bit much when you constantly are trying to make everybody like the same person, but you don't do anything with him in order for that to happen. The kids love him, but it's like they're kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually they are going it's going to get to a point where they're going to have two choices. They either am going to turn him heel, or they're going to end up having like move him completely, or I don't know. Like, I don't really know what you do with Roman Reigns, but I know in my opinion, he kind of sucks. Like, I'm just kind of like, I don't have time for this when it comes to him, because his matches just aren't really that good at this point. It's just kind of like, eh. I mean, in all honesty, I don't really. I see the comparison with Cena, but I can honestly say at least Cena can hold a better match and has a little bit better skill set. So, yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I just don't see it.
The thing about Roman Reigns, to me, honestly, is that every time that he does a match, with somebody, it instantly becomes forgettable. I can't think of the match that he did against anybody. Honestly, I'm trying to think, and there's people that I love that he's done matches with that just sucked. Uh, Bray Wyatt, he did matches with him. They sucked. Braun Strowman did matches with them. They do match with him. They sucked. Um, you know what I actually think about the most when I think about Roman Reigns is when he was what in the Royal Rumble and sat outside the ring for a good 20 to 25 minutes while everybody said Roman's sleeping. Roman isn't supposed to be a headliner. Roman is supposed to be, he's supposed to be the jobber. He is. He just happens to look really good, but he's skillless. He's like, I just finished picking my eighth grade basketball team for my middle school. It's like me taking a kid who looks muscular and all that, but really can't play ball, and putting him over the number one player in the school, the one who plays AAU ball, because he looks the part. It's not fair to anybody else that he looks the part. He doesn't look like anything, and he plays like a scrub. I hate Roman.
Hashtag.
So now we're going to shift over to somebody who's equally as frustrating. Bray Wyatt.
Roman Reigns. Oh, sorry.
G Money, you know, for a long time, me and you have been all about some Bray Wyatt, but it seems like creative doesn't understand what they got with this man. Is it time for him to just go ahead and turn into a baby face and get the crowd behind him instead of, you know, him trying to get the crowd creeped out?
Oof. I mean, I guess at this point you could go that route, but I mean, I think they have enough baby faces on the Raw brand at the moment. Unless there's some sort of turn, you're gonna switch, you know, places with Balor at this point. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know what you can do for that guy. It's another head scratcher. Like they really backed themselves into so many corners with the talent that they have. I mean, it's just the Abigail thing is laughable. I mean, what was it? Miss Atlanta Lively with Ron Garvin back in the day. I mean, this is what we got going on in 2017 with Bray. I mean that, and I don't even know if the guy is really a charismatic speaker. I mean, he just rambles when he gets on the mic. I don't even know if I should really be behind him or not, especially as a heel. Like Kevin Owens, you know, he is charismatic on the mic, even though he's a horrible person, you know, in the brand. So I don't know. I don't know if he's worth saving. Maybe he should go away for a while, and you know, I'll care about him again.
Okay. Neil, your thoughts on Bray Wyatt? What should they do with him if he seems to be in a rut with creative in his booking?
Well, I don't think right now Bray is in a rut. I think putting him against Finn in these string of matches is probably the best thing for both of them right now, because because think about this. They could be fodder for Brock right now, and Brock could be doing what he already has, you know, be in a pay-per-view situation losing to Brock, and instead they're feuding against each other. While they did squander the opportunity with you know, making Sister Abigail basically just, you know, Bray with a voice synthesizer, it's not as bad as Katie Vick. Okay, so which creative signed on a few years ago. That wasn't that long ago. So I think right now they have an opportunity to progress the storyline forward, and I think that they could be going the route of having a string of matches between Bray and Finn for a while. I could see a situation where they are either a part of or leading Survivor Series teams, playing integral roles. because Survivor Series is the next major pay-per-view coming up. So um, I don't think Bray is necessarily in a bad place while the creative part of his promos in terms of the demon versus Sister Abigail, all that stuff I don't really care about. He is a great talent in the ring. He works great with Finn's ability. I think they play off each other very well in the ring, whether it's on Raw or whether it's on a pay-per-view. I'm really liking the stuff they're doing right now, and I think we should be paying attention to the quality of the matches and put aside, if you can as a fan, put aside their promos, because Finn right now can't really counter his promos, and Bray is really carrying them as far as those promos are concerned. So I think they're really doing well with each other, in my opinion.
All right, Mr. Keith Holt Jr., what do you think about Bray Wyatt, man?
Okay. Bray is an interesting character for me. It feels like they start and stop him a lot. Like they're hot with him, and then they pull him back. I think they should explore the idea of using him as a babyface, because when you can light up an arena every time you come out, and I mean he has like a babyface entrance. The fans dig him. Through how the weird booking they've done of him over the years, he still like maintains his popularity. I've always thought they prematurely broke up the Wyatt family. They didn't have enough storylines around a breakup, or maybe have an all-out mutiny in the family. But I agree with Neil. These matches with Finn, I wasn't on board as much in the beginning, but I'm interested to see where this goes. And I think right now for both of them, it's keeping them near the top of the card. And I'm glad both of them not getting lost in the shuffle. And I think they'll help each other out a lot.
Okay. Miss Keisha, what are your thoughts on Bray Wyatt?
Okay, so weird is not a word I would use, because I'm guessing this is how it's supposed to be. Bray is supposed to be weird in some sort of way. So right now, like, I like the fact that they're trying to keep him relevant, but I really can honestly say I don't see where they're going with this. Because the ongoing feud between him and Finn is just taking a left, kind of. And I don't really understand like where they plan to go with that. It's kind of like um the whole Sister Abigail thing is definitely starting to it's just starting to become confusing a little bit. It's like, okay, so Finn faces Sister Abigail. How does that work? Because Sister Abigail, in my mind, is a female. So I'm like, how do you even formulate this into something actually happening? And I'm not even trying to guess the direction in which this is going anymore, because I can't. Like, I really can't understand what they're doing with him, what is going on with this whole storyline situation. I think it's just a bunch of random writing trying to put it together into something that actually works. And I really don't know. I think that um, they just need something to do with both gentlemen, and Bray and both. I think both Bray and Finn right now are getting short ends of the stick, and they can definitely be doing more with Bray. Bray Wyatt is too grand of a talent in order for him to be placed in the position that he is right now. I don't disagree with him feuding with Finn Balor, like, because I think Finn is also a great talent. I just feel like they are both being slid aside in order to in order just to keep themselves on the show. and they're just being thrown into a mix of a lot of BS, and it just doesn't seem like the place for them. Um, right now, I feel like both men should be holding some sort of title or, somewhere in that kind of picture. And that's not what's happening right now. At least if they're going to be doing anything, they need to be in a part of Raw where it doesn't seem like this has just been thrown together. Um, so I don't really understand the direction in which they're going with Bray Wyatt right now. I don't. I cannot. I just can't fathom like what they're doing with him. It's not registering in my head. But I mean, right now, I guess it's okay, but it's not the grandest thing. I feel like
All
he
right.
can be doing more. I feel like they could be doing more with him and with Balor and in this entire situation in general.
Mr. Materia, how would you give Bray Wyatt a facelift?
Has he been sufficiently punished for his workplace activities, or are we not talking about that on the show? You know what?
Oh, I forgot about him and JoJo.
Uh,
Kayfabe, kayfabe, brother.
Kayfabe life. Kayfabe. And I don't want to bring that up, but I think it's like Keith said earlier. Bray's an interesting character because it's very similar to the Undertaker, where they got somebody that taps into that supernatural, that element or that genre. So like when they want to have like things like the occult or kind of demon type things or whatever, like Bray's kind of your go-to. It's like that's why this matchup with Finn Balor is kind of almost a natural fit for the two. As far as in-ring styles, it gives Finn someone else to kind of work against. And Bray seems to be able to work with any type of style. He's no question he's great in the ring. He's a third generation, and he pretty much knows how to pretty much speak and has charisma. Yeah, the writing in some ways is a little hokey, and this whole thing with Sister Abigail is a little off-putting. Like this is very much Norman Bates type stuff here. You're like, well, what are you channeling, Sister Abigail? What's going on here? But this is what you kind of expect from a character such as his. And as far as the Undertaker had some really stupid storylines when he was coming through all those years in the business. Where ended up with like buried alive matches or this match or that match or my urn is going to be the source of my power and stuff. And you're like, whatever, man, just wrestle because I don't want to see all this. But if you're a little kid, you're little Jimmy, you're like scared out your mind, like what's going to happen? And I don't even know if that happens anymore. The lightning bolts too, yeah. So it covers a lot of points, but it does diminish or limit what Bray Wyatt can do as far as pushing him to the top. It's going to keep him sort of in a certain place where he might get another title run down the line, or he may not. He's almost always going to be in that upper mid card status, or in that like maybe the title picture as far as a contender. But after a while, it's just going to be, well, who's going to feud with Bray Wyatt and be elevated, by getting past, Sister Abigail and this whole occult thing, that he's got going on. It used to be the Wyatt family was the thing. Now they gave him superpowers and other things where he's like, the master of whatever, some kind of dimension, or it's like he's beyond just being a great wrestler or great gimmick. This kind of covers that whole kind of side of the fence there. So anyone he wrestles is gonna have to deal with all these mind tricks and games and everything else. And yeah, the fans are over with the entrance, but once you get past that, like they don't pop for the spider walk anymore. They're not really popping for his promos. They're not singing along with him. It's just like, okay, it's old hat. We've seen all this before. What else you got? And so this thing with Sister Abigail, it's hitting a lot of people the wrong way because it's like, this is the big reveal after all these years. But, they're going to keep going down this road with him unless they come up with something that's like gold or something like, and we've seen him go up against Brock Lesnar, but maybe there's something where, he starts giving Brock Lesnar, having him look in the mirror and throwing up or something like that. I don't know. I'm mixing in Papa Shango stuff here too. So There's possibility, but knowing WWE, they drop the ball more than they actually run with it. You can just cross your fingers and hope that they're not just gonna like just screw him to oblivion.
Okay, Rashani, final thoughts on Bray Wyatt?
I blame the fall of Bray Wyatt on the Hardy Boys. As soon as the
Okay.
Hardy Boys did that whole broken thing and they did their TNA match out in the woods and everything, and WWE was like, we can do that with Bray Wyatt, that's when his stuff just went stupid on me. I love Bray Wyatt. I love his entrance. I love the way that he was able to, his promos, the way he was able to mesmerize everybody. But then it turned into, I got these superpowers and step into my house of horrors and all that kind of stuff. And he started sounding like a jack leg preacher version of Mankind. I don't want Bray Wyatt to be a guy with superpowers. I want him to be just an evil dude who will just beat you down. And why can't that just be the way it is? Like, I know he's a guy who's always stood behind bigger men to fight his battles for him. He's always been like the Manson of the WWE. I understand that. But he's so agile, and he's so quick, and he's so just, he can do amazing things. But they got him pigeonholed. And that's the problem that I got with him, is that, like Classic said, it's boring. It's old hat. He does a bridge. Oh, my goodness. He walks with it. Oh, my goodness. I did that when I was in third grade because I couldn't do a back walkover. It's not a big deal. I'm not shook by gymnastics that fail halfway through. What I want to see him do, honestly, probably take on AJ Styles. Take on AJ again. And actually, AJ can pull a good match out of anybody. Bray Wyatt puts on good matches. They should get at least one 4-star match out of that. And that'll bring him out of this funk. Because right now, I haven't seen a good match out of Bray Wyatt in like at least 4 months. Seriously.
All right. So now I'm just going to open it up to each one of our panelists and guests here to just, if you could change one thing about what's going on with the current product, what would you change? So Sam, you're up first. What would you change about the current product?
Don knew better than to ask me about Bray Wyatt because he knew my response already.
If you want to chime in on something with Bray, you can.
I have no interest, sir.
All right.
What can they change? Well, kind of like what you and me used to say. Bring back the jobbers. Make the superstar versus superstar matches like a special attraction. I mean, you can have at least one like perk show, but make it the main event and make it something we want to see. Like back in the day on Raw, they would sometimes have 2 superstar versus superstar matches, but the rest of the show was just squashes and stuff, and that was cool. And because it gets the guy over without burying someone else on the roster,
Right.
So that's the number one thing I would change. And even though it's not going to happen, Raw needs to go back to 2 hours because it's just like it becomes a chore, and then I just want to jump off a roof. So that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Rashani, what would be the thing if you were the czar that you would change?
I'd fire Roman Reigns, first of all. I wouldn't even let him in the building. I'd send him to, like, Ohio Valley Wrestling or something. And then I would, just for one moment, even if it's just for one show, I'd give the fans what they wanted. Braun Strowman will go out there and he'd destroy people. Where the heck is Samoa Joe? Where is he? Has anyone heard from him?
He's
Has
injured,
he been seen?
He's injured.
So, I mean, I would, when Samoa Joe is healthy, I give him the belt. I put the belt on Samoa because he looks like a killer. He acts like a killer. He looks like a heel. He acts like a heel. I would throw Enzo out of the WWE completely.
Mr. Greg, Magnum Prime, what would be the thing that you would like to change?
Uh, my main points have already been touched on, but uh, I would say I know this is radical, but I would go back to maybe six pay-per-views a year. Since you got the network, you just do other special events to maybe you're doing like a big house show or something like that. And my second thing would be after that would probably be to just have it one big organization again. I would split it up into two programs. You got to have winners, you got to have losers. Everybody can't be the champ. Just have one belt and just have a bunch of guys on the show.
All right. Mr. Keith Holt Jr., something that you would like to change?
Um, I think it's already been said. We got to get Raw back to 2 hours because that way I have to pick an hour to sleep through. Other than that, I would probably, I don't know, have to shake everything up. We have to create a ranking system maybe to help push storylines. And I will try to get better use out of those mid-card belts. I don't think they get enough usage.
Okay.
And everybody's goal should be some kind of champ.
Yeah. Mr. Neil Carter, what would be the one or two things that you would change if you were in charge of the world of professional wrestling?
Are we just talking about WWE, or are we talking about everything?
WWE specific, but whatever.
Okay. Well, if we're just talking about the WWE, then I would to extend Keith's point a little bit further. The first thing I would do I would actually add all those mid card titles that were around when they acquired ECW and acquired WCW. I bring all of them back that they kind of retired or connected to other belts. So not so much so there's tons of champions going around, but there's belts to fight for a bunch of folks that are in that mid-card area. The second thing I would do is, I think the point's already been made, get rid of some of the talent that is kind of just sitting at the top and is kind of has the golden ticket but doesn't really have the talent to back it up. But then at the same time, I'd utilize the brands that exist and have them actually go against each other. When Vince said SmackDown was going to go against Raw and he had his kids on leading both brands, I thought it was going to be SmackDown versus Raw versus NXT. And when it became fighting for ratings, like that was the first thing. And it's not that right now. I'd go back to that and have them literally fighting for ratings and include NXT in that. And, include 205 Live in that because they're all brands. Include the UK wrestlers that they have signed. Include the women wrestlers they have signed. They signed a ton of women. They signed a ton of UK talent. Include them all in that and actually cause some actual havoc so you have this talent that's actually all fighting for television time all at the same time. They have the talent to do it.
All right. Mr. Classic Materia, what would you like to see changed if you could change it?
First thing you do is you fire Kevin Dunn. You retire him, you give him a severance package, but the biggest problem that the shows have in terms of the WWE main product is they do the same old tired stuff with it, and a lot of that's the production values. Yeah, he can put together a great video package, but it's kind of like how Michael Bay does movies and he does explosions. You're good at explosions. You suck. You're terrible at movies. So do your explosions in the corner there. Make that part of the bigger picture and actually put somebody in charge that knows how to put together a good movie or a good wrestling show in this case. There's a lot of things that they do where they talk about sports entertainment a lot and they do like all these things. Get rid of him. Put on an actual wrestling show. Stop all this, all this extra stuff and pretty much focus on the talent that's there. The wrestlers, and you can still have your storylines and do other things, but small things like having announcers backstage actually ask questions and talk to, and the backstage announcer actually interact with the announcers, the ring, on ringside. That used to be a thing. Me and Gene Okerlund was a personality. Now it's like you cut to Renee Young or somebody that's like all wooden. They ask a question, they get a response, and then they stare at the camera like, like what happened to throwing it back to the booth or something? Like there's no like interactivity, and it just looks so just goofy. The in-ring product, I don't think you really have to change much there. I mean, there's certain things that are stagnant. Maybe you bring back, and they were doing this for a while. They were bringing back some local talent, or what you want to call jobbers or something, to get squashed. But the fact is, that's where you learn about these smaller names, or that's where you have a chance to like intermingle talent. Maybe do some more cross promotional things where someone from NXT does come over to the main roster to actually wrestle in a match, and they go back where they came from. So it's not like a big signing or something, but yeah, you get to see some exposure from some of these other talents and make good use of the talent that you have. You do all this, there's going to be more tuning into the network. There's going to be more pay-per-view response because the shows won't be as long. Obviously, I agree that this 3-hour Raw is not necessary anymore. If you have to do 3 hours, make one of it a recap show. Just stuck watching wrestling the whole time. We have lives, man. We've got kids and significant others and jobs and other things. Vince wants our time and our money. He's already got our money. I'm not giving you any more time, Vince. I'm sorry. We got to break up now. And that's really what I got to say about that.
All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody, the OG WrassleCast members, for coming out. Sam, Greg, glad you guys could join us. Dee Dee Jonay, Miss Keisha Holt, First Lady of the WrassleCast. I'm just glad that everybody could show up for this panel, this special 3-year episode of the WrassleCast. So at this point, we just go through the room, let everybody know where they can follow y'all on Twitter. Shout out. So we'll start with Rashani. Rashani, let them know where they can follow you on Twitter. Tell them about your podcast. Oh, Sam, we'll start with you.
Don't kick Rashani off, poor guy. I think that was classic to do that.
Talking that shit. You can't come up in my house talking that shit. But you know what? I will say Rashani is pretty much Rashani is helped me get started in podcasting. I'm saying from jump period point blank. All this is here because of him and a few other people like Ryan Karen Black Guy Who Tips. But Single Simulcast, check him out. He's got a great co-host, Ashante Fabulous. Go to Single Simulcast on Twitter and listen to their show. And of course, you can follow him at Rashani on Twitter and other places on social media.
I was actually on Single Simulcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But as far as me, my Twitter handle is Reckless Mage. You can find me on the Twitter machine. Let's see. Are we doing shout-outs or are we just moving on? Or what are we doing?
Yeah, you can do shout-outs. Go ahead.
Okay. My one shout-out, Lady Nikki on Twitter. Follow her. And check out her stuff on YouTube.
All right. Greg?
Well, you can find me when I'm not chained to a machine at work at Magnum Prime on Twitter. And I just like to give shouts out just to the entire WrassleCast family. It's been a pleasure whenever I could chop it up with you guys. It's a beautiful thing to be able to talk about the ins and outs of the squared circle. And shouts out, of course, forever for always, Roll Tide, to the University of Alabama football, and shouts out to my wonderful wife who still puts up with me.
All right. Mr. Keith Holt, shout outs and let them know where they can follow you in the podcast.
All right. Shout out for Classic for bringing us all together. You can find us at ringtimeprowrestling.com. We are usually doing this on Spreaker. That's the current platform we've been using. But we're on iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff. You can hit me on Twitter at KHoltJR or hit the Twitter account for the podcast, Ringtime Podcast.
All right. Yep. Give them a listen. Give them a follow, folks. Really good content. Always pushing out good content. big fan here at the WrassleCast. Mr. Neil Carter, let the people know where they can follow you. Tell them about the podcast.
Sure. You can follow me, Neil Carter, at Neil Carter. Funny enough, it's pretty simple. You can follow the podcast that I'm on with the wonderful Valissa K. Thompson. You can follow her at Valissa Thompson, and you can also follow our podcast on the CSPN network at Wheel and Deal Pod. I want to give my shout out to not just the great OG and new WrassleCast family, and by extension, my CSPN coworkers, but also I want to give a shout out to the multitude of Black independent wrestlers and Black wrestlers that are working for major companies as well, and a hashtag that was started to for them called Give Black Wrestlers a Chance. We're always looking to make sure that the ones that have chances and the ones that need chances get those opportunities. So please check that hashtag out. There's always activity on it. Also, I want to shout out my lovely wife as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout her out and thank her for giving me the opportunity to chop it up with you all this evening.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Rashani, give the people your shout outs.
You can find me on Twitter at Rashani when I'm on Twitter, which isn't nearly as often as I should be. I'm on Facebook a lot more than that, which you'll never find me on. Ha 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 ha. My show is single simulcast, also to the Dream Team, and if you get really bored, check out Sin and Solace. Shout out to Classic. I hate your guts, but I love you like a play cousin. It's weird the way these things work out, and I'm always grateful to be on anything that you're doing. I also want to thank my beloved son, Kid Awesome, who literally sat quietly next to me for those couple hours we did the show and just hung out, which is not amazing, but it's still nice. My wife, Nisha, wasn't around me, so I can't say thank you for letting me do the show, but I do want to say that she's awesome, and she's always first place in my heart. My kids even know that. There's no secret. And thanks to y'all for having me on. Really, I appreciate every moment of it. Each and every one of y'all will likely, they'll be somewhere down the line. We'll get together again. Y'all be
All
good.
right. Thank you for coming on. Last but not least, the CEO of it all, Mr. Classic Materia.
All right, as I hold Mjolnir here, even though I'm not worthy, but I try to be. I want to give shouts out, of course. Well, first and foremost, to you, Don. Fantastic host. You're like the glue of our network. You're a great right-hand man for the CSPN, for the WrassleCast, for Cast of Strong Style, for Know the Score. You name it, Don's on it. And, I would not take credit for bringing the OGs together. I only wrote the letter, but Don came to me and said, we've got 3 years of WrassleCast. I want to invite the old gang, and I want to talk of, we just want to chop it up and celebrate. And so I give Don a lot of credit. You pretty much keep things running and, really improve us on so many levels. So I first want to give you a shout out for that. And thank you for hosting and being a great host week in, week out. Of course, the new WrassleCasters, or the new WrassleCast crew, Sam, Dee Dee, and Greg. Greg, you always got a spot. Of course, you know that. You could, but keep working because the bills got to get paid. I appreciate you though, and of course to my old heads that are here with me here. Of course we heard from Keith and Keisha tonight. We also heard from Rashani, and of course Neil Carter. I can't forget him. With Wheel Deal Pod. And also those WrassleCast All-Stars or the old school WrassleCast OGs that could make it today. We'll pour a little out for them, but Miss Bree, also Brandon Murphy, he of the initial WrassleCast Hall of Fame, the Kevin Federline selection. Brent from Georgia, we didn't get a chance to hear from him. Eclectic and Tim Dog, my CSPN or my old Cold Slither podcast mates. Amazing Jace, and so many others that have been on the show in the past. And of course, all of the WrassleCast, listeners, fans, those that have been showing appreciation with our hashtags, and those that have continued to elevate us. One last shout out to Mikey Osmond at Rest Center, WRESC Center on Twitter. He has a link, a forum, and he wants people to come out and check out his Hall of Fame at WrestlingCenter.net. And if you click on Titans, you can help him select his second ever Hall of Fame. Very illustrious and very great selections there. I'm gonna be checking it out tonight. You should too. And you just want to plug for my man Mikey. And of course, check us all out at WrassleCast on Twitter and at CSPN.us.
All right. I just like to just shout out everybody who has listened, downloaded, subscribed to the show over the past 3 years. Everybody who's been a guest, everybody who's live tweeted with us, everybody on the CSPN who's been a part of the CSPN in these last 3 years. Didi Jonet, give a big shout out to her for coming on and watching SmackDown when nobody cared about it, and now it's the best show that we have that we get to review every week. So big shout out to her for when it wasn't cool, she was doing the work. Big shout out to Sam for all the weeks of hosting, and Greg as well, and just all the OG WrestleCast. I just wanted to show appreciation that you guys, you guys were the first ones to have the name and run with it and establish it, and we just got a chance to pick up the ball from where you guys left off. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to hear from y'all at least once, and this was the perfect opportunity. So I'm so thankful for the turnout. I didn't expect so many people to be on board with it. If I was going to be happy with 1 or 2, so to get 6 people to actually join the call was fantastic. So thank y'all. Again, this Sunday, 8:00, No Scrubs Cast is the hashtag for TLC. Of course, if you catch us at 7:00, hashtag say no to pre-shows for the kickoff shows. And look out on the Twitter. I'll put up the poll so you guys can vote on who you think are going to win this week's matches. So for the OG WrestleCast members and the new WrestleCast members, I'm Don De Laurenti. This has been episode 156. Please stay tuned for the parting promo.
Who are you to doubt, old Danny?